I think your assessment is correct on Attorney General Sessions. As we think about kind of changes in the cabinet, I don't view that as quite as impactful as what the voters can do today in the voting booth, though.
What are you expecting on that front?
So the outlook, as you mentioned, there are 4 ballot initiatives. The one that we're most constructive on is Michigan. On average, that's been polling 55% favorable, and that's for adult use. North Dakota also has an adult use ballot. The polling's a little bit more mixed there. We've got 2 on medical use as well. Missouri, they've got 3 different ballot initiatives, so kind of hard to read the polls. And then in Utah, that one seems pretty likely. The polling has been pretty favorable. And then aside from that, local politicians have all but agreed to legalize medical cannabis, regardless of the outcome of the ballot.
Aditi, what's destigmatizing pot doing for investment? I mean, you've got 2 candidates in Washington state who actually own dispensaries, so they'll be the first pot-selling politicians if they win their elections. What does it do for the movement?
I mean, it's interesting, right? You have John Boehner, the former Speaker of the House, who is now, a member at Acreage Holdings. You have the former Prime Minister of Canada, also a board member there. So it is incredible. Right now, Pew Research, as well as a recent Gallup poll, shows about 2 out of 3 Americans now support legalization of recreational marijuana, and that's definitely a trajectory upwards. And that's weighing heavily in a lot of these races. You mentioned Jeff Sessions, but there's another critical race going on in Texas. The other Sessions, he's actually in a really embattled House congressional district, and Pete Sessions, and he's blocked a ton of marijuana reform bills in Congress, so that could be a key vote. People are also looking at a number of House races. Going back to those ballot initiatives, Michigan, I know Vivien was mentioning about this, that's the one a lot of companies especially are looking at, because that would be the first state in the Midwest to legalize recreational marijuana. So it would also be really important in terms of that cross-border traffic. So it's adjacent to Indiana. It has a water boundary with Illinois. So when you think about the implications of that being a tipping point in that region, that could be huge implications there.
Vivien, at first it was California, Colorado, Washington State. Okay, but now Utah. Now, granted, it's for medical use, not recreational. You're not allowed to grow it if this passes. But how much of a cultural shift does it signal that Utah is even talking about doing anything with marijuana at all?
I think it's incredibly meaningful. While the polling is obviously continuing to improve on the adult use side, as just mentioned, for medical use, there's over 90% support in the U.S.
And what about in Florida, where you've got Andrew Gillum actually running, saying that we should throw out all of the criminalization of marijuana? He's doing it in terms of the justice system and getting people out of jail. But I mean, there are a lot of people who live in Florida. It accounts for about 5% of U.S. GDP. Vivien?
Absolutely. We're keeping a close eye on Florida, though, of course, while Gillum is polling quite well, it ultimately will come down to the composition of the state legislature, which is why we're actually more constructive on Illinois. Pritzker is up double digits in the polls, and he's got a Democratic state legislature, and he's been running on adult use in Illinois.